HJM 12, urging resumption of White House Conference on Children and Youth.
Question now arises upon final reading and adoption of HJM 12A. Representative Roblan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise today in support of HJM 12, a memorial calling upon the U.S. Congress to convene a White House Conference on Children. Colleagues, the White House Conference on Children was held every decade, starting in 1909 and ending in 1970. It's been 40 years since we've had a nation pull together the leaders and advocates for children and youth from all over the 50 states to tackle the troubling issues facing children in our country. In particular, youth in foster care served by a child welfare system. We are overdue for such an effort. Conditions for children in Oregon and the nation have worsened in recent years due to the economic recession. And we are seeing more children living in poverty and higher rates of abuse and neglect as a result. Oregon paints a stark picture. Statewide, over 166,000 children live below the federal poverty line of $22,050 for a family of 4 in 2009. That represents a 9% increase in the rate of poverty from last year. 3,684 children were victims of child abuse or neglect, 7.3 per 1,000 children. 8,617 children in the state have been in foster care for at least once during the past year. 67,885 reports of child abuse and neglect were made in 2009. 42% of these reports were assessed and 9 were found. The rate of founded abuse and neglect cases rose 11%. 37.8% of Oregon children live in low-income households, those under 200% of federal poverty level. Those came from Children First of Oregon's 2010 county data book. According to Christine James Brown, President and CEO of Child Welfare League of America, the fundamental purpose of the White House Conference on Children is to fulfill the nation's need for an overall vision on child welfare. The conference is focused on improving outcomes for children in the following areas: prevent and reduce child abuse and neglect in the first place, increase permanency through family reunification, relative foster care, and adoption, reduce the number of children in foster care, decrease the number of children aging out of foster care. The Congressional Act calls upon the Secretary of Health and Human Services will plan, convene, and conduct the conference in cooperation with the heads of other appropriate federal agencies. A policy committee will be selected and will be comprised of 17 members. The committee will hold meetings and work sessions in order to facilitate the convening of the conference. It's also responsible for selecting delegates and advisory committees to participate in the conference. The Secretary will prepare a final report of the conference to be submitted to the chief executives of the states, which will include the results of the conference, including a statement of comprehensive, coherent national policy on state child welfare systems, recommendations of conferences for the implementation of such policies, and the recommendation to decrease the incidence of child abuse or neglect from occurring and to improve health outcomes and measure of well-being for our children. Why I care, and why you should. As someone who cares deeply about children, I ask you colleagues for an aye vote. This bill is good for our nation. It will be good for Oregon. I truly ask for each and everyone's support. Thank you.
Representative Holby, how do you vote? Holby votes aye. Representative Widener votes aye. HGM 12A, having received the required majority, is declared adopted.